Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. Without the former Soviet Union, the United States has imposed a regulation prohibition on emerging stars in order to keep Huawei out of the spotlight of local products. With the escalation of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and as a result of the U.S.-Russia relationship, the U.S. has begun to penalize Russia, which has consequences in the technology and semiconductor sectors. Many corporations have followed the U.S. move at the request of the U.S. Despite the fact that most corporations are boycotting Russia today, Huawei has not renounced Russia. Huawei's firm did not only not leave Russia, but it also continued to supply Russia with crucial communication equipment as promised. So, why is Huawei taking this risk? How significant is Huawei's action to the company? Why is Huawei doing differently than other companies? Russia receives $15 million in telecoms equipment from Huawei. According to the relevant Russian media, on April 21, VimpelCom, a linked local communication operator in Russia, unexpectedly got a total of $15 million in communication equipment from Huawei at a time when global firms were leaving Russia. Of course, this is not Huawei's objective, but rather Huawei's adherence to the deal reached with Russia on February 24 of this year. But is this agreement need to be followed? In truth, this is backslash not true. The United States is exerting considerable pressure. Even if Huawei has halted the supply of this batch of telecom equipment to Russia, this is understandable. So, what gives Huawei the confidence to compete against the wind? Why does Huawei continue to work with Russia despite U.S. sanctions? Huawei is daring to do this because Huawei has exceptionally strong patent barriers. The European Patent Office published the 2021 Patent Index report on April 5 this year. Last year, Huawei sought for patents in Europe, according to this report. Up to 3,544 products, beating out South Korea's Samsung to take top spot. According to this European assessment, Huawei has unusually high patent hurdles. It is logical for Huawei to get rid of American technology, offer Huawei autonomous research, and alleviate Huawei's bottleneck under such patent hurdles. Risk is quite beneficial. The reason Huawei is willing to compete against the wind might be the large number of customers. Patents. Furthermore, Huawei is actively self-developing in terms of operating systems. Huawei HarmonyOS removed its reliance on the Android system developed in the United States. Kirin chips are created separately by Kirin, Huawei, and cannot be freely delivered. Essentially, the United States states have no motive to begin. When it comes to chip architecture, despite this, Huawei and ARM continue to work closely together. On the other hand, on December 9 last year, Huawei HiSilicon unveiled a completely self-developed high-definition television chip Hi373V110. The RISC-V architecture is used in this chip. It can also be observed that Huawei is steadily weaning itself off of its reliance on the US ARM architecture. Since there is this possibility, and Huawei currently does not employ US technology, there is no need to be concerned about US regulations, and Huawei naturally has the confidence to compete against the wind. Huawei is quite optimistic now that the telecom equipment has been delivered to Russia on time. So, how significant is this move Huawei has done for Huawei? How significant is Huawei's move? The Russian Federal Statistical Service issued the most recent data on Russia's total population on January 28, as of January 1, 2022. Despite a 1.04 million decline in population, Russia still has a population of 145.47 million people. The Russian consumer market. It is, in fact, pretty enormous. Even if the international situation has changed, Huawei can still supply the previously negotiated equipment on time, which may not be enough to win the Russian market. Winning the massive Russian market will also significantly boost Huawei's economic benefits. Furthermore, Russia's most notable attribute is its large terrain and scarce population. On Russian territory, Huawei 5G equipment will surely have a lot of potential for improvement. It may not be quicker or earlier in the future, given the vast number of Huawei 5G deployments in Russia. Facts pierce the web of falsehoods constructed by the United States in the global market. Finally, on April 20th of this year, Huawei formally announced the renaming of the consumer business to the terminal business. It will rely on the hardware and software ecosystems. It will be released in the future to continually improve commercial terminal equipment goods such as laptops and desktop computers. Now that Huawei has taken this move, it is effectively gaining the approval of Russian customers. For the time being, Huawei's commercial terminals are still in the early stages, and their competitive advantages are modest. They may not be able to assist Huawei's commercial terminal company develop popularity and influence in the Russian market now that they are liked by the Russian market. The development of Huawei's company has been extremely beneficial to Huawei's worldwide strategy. Huawei's communication technology strength is the world's leading. Even in the absence of Ericsson, Nokia follows the trend and cedes market position. Huawei will be able to retain its cutting-edge market position and occupy the top tier indefinitely. However, because it lacks other competitors, it will automatically receive more orders in the local market. It's the frosting on the cake, so the level of collaboration that might have been maintained has increased. And, as a result of these many occurrences, the local market has seen the actual face of many Western technology businesses. Even if they return to the market in the future, they will learn how to select things without having to think about it. A company's reputation is built not just on producing high-quality products, but also on upholding the rights and interests of its customers. Consumers and clients in mind, Huawei has finished the supply of equipment worth $15 million. US dollars, demonstrating to the rest of the world Huawei's commitment to globalization and cooperative mentality in the contract spirit. Because of these credit guarantees, Huawei will essentially be able to collaborate with more companies. Clients in the future, of course, the specific performance is important. The outcome will be determined by the final wishes of both parties. At the very least, I can grasp what the actual spirit of the contract is via the foil of my coworkers. In summary, the world situation, in my opinion, is tumultuous, and Huawei is still supplying Russia with communication equipment valued at up to $15 million to aid Russia's telecoms development operations. This is unquestionably a significant move taken by Huawei. Although the United States may not welcome it, Huawei's move demonstrates that it is not frightened of the power of the government. The United States, while also filling and winning the gap in the market in Russia. We look forward to tighter and more in-depth collaboration between Russia and Huawei in the coming days, and we hope that Russia can move out of the way of the US's regulatory revisions as soon as possible. Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.